there are a couple of new articles over at Supply of Grace if anybody's interested. And let me do the present thing here. I posted an article to talk about on Friday, and we never talked about it. God can answer what if questions, which was just an excerpt. It was less than 200 words, I think, something like that. Yeah. An excerpt from Wednesday night's message about God answering what if questions. And you had a couple of those examples in 1 Samuel 30, 1 Samuel 23. You had the Amalekites that took so many of the women of Israel, including a couple of David's wives. And he asked the Lord, well, shall I pursue after them? Will I overtake them? And the Lord said, yeah, pursue them. You will overtake them. And without fail, recover all the women. And then there's the story about Keilah, the town of Keilah in 1 Samuel 23, which was, he wasn't sure whether or not to go into the town because he was afraid the people were going to turn David over to Saul. So he asked the Lord, well, what's going to happen if I go into that town of Keilah? And the Lord said, yeah, the people are going to deliver you into the hands of Saul. So he didn't go. Yeah. And Saul heard that David left the town. David was not in the town, and he didn't send men, and nothing happened. Yeah. I love that story. Yeah. I love that story. God can answer what if questions. So if you're interested in that topic, check it out. Do you think that means that God can look into the future, Hal?
I'm still not sure what I fully understand about that particular question, because again, as I look at the nature and character of God, yes, he's omniscient, but he's also omnipresent.
Right.
And how far does omnipresence extend? Is he actually looking in the future, or is he already resident there?
Right. Would you think that the heavenly realm is somehow outside the physical laws of time that we have here in this realm? Well, that somehow he can, I don't
know. When I look at the ages to come, as you see it in Scripture, there's months and years, and so I think time is marked the same. But God, when you get to the question of the person of God Himself, I think the effect of time is a creation, I think, on His part.
Right. And everything, all the increments of time are in dividends of 6, which I suspect was meant to reference labor, man's labor.
Yeah.
That's why we have time.
Yeah.
Do you think John time traveled into the future, into the throne room in Revelation?
It's obvious. He said he was there.
Yeah. So if God can make Apostle John time travel to heaven in the book of Revelation, then somehow God has some sort of ability outside of the paradigms of time in this physical realm. If he can make John do that.
Again, I remember in my youthful days thinking about such big questions.
Right.
And trying to, for instance, understand the foresight of God. One of the most common analogies of time that I always heard was time is like a river, and it has a flow. And of course, we are fixed in our time, and we have to go with that flow. I mean, we can't violate it. We can't go in the past. We can't go in the future.
That's right.
We're stuck. But God, if we view Him as being outside of time, He can look down and see the whole river.
Exactly.
But, and that comes back to my other point. If He's truly omnipresent, He wouldn't be looking from a distant perspective. He would actually be present in all points of time.
Yep. No, I would not have. I
don't know what I know about that.
I do also have an article on Supply of Grace about John time traveling in the book of Revelation. I did make an argument for that. I remember at one point at the end, I'm like, well, so if John if he went into the future and he was in the throne room during the time of the tribulation, could an angel have taken John down into Sheol, and would John have seen a carbon copy of himself down there if he traveled into the future? Because wouldn't his soul be in Sheol with all the other saints at the same time? Or would he disappear in Sheol while he's up there in heaven? One of those time travel paradoxes.
Well, I would pick the emoji with my head blowing off on that one.